This is the Drake Insights Podcast, your weekly dose of cutting-edge senior living marketing insights. Join me, your host, Natasha Drake, for bold ideas, proven strategies, and inspiring stories straight from the experts. Tune in and let's conquer the senior living marketing landscape together. Hey guys, welcome back to the Drake Insights Podcast. I am your host, Natasha Drake from Drake Strategic. So let's get started. So on today's episode, if you watched my episode last week where I gave my top 3 marketing tips, I mentioned investing your time and money in your SEO and your organic rankings being one of my top tips. And so I thought today on the podcast, it would be great to bring on one of my SEO specialists to give you a little more insight into what I was talking about in last week's episode. So on today's episode, we have Sarah Eggers, our senior living SEO specialist. So Sarah, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here. Obviously, I'm very excited talking about SEO, organic search, content, and even UX writing and content. I've been working in senior living for a long time now, and I'm an expert in search engine optimization, content related to that, and also user experience on websites. So I'm so glad to be here.
Thank you. So last week on my episode, I talked about how today is more important than ever to really invest time and money in SEO. And if you can explain a little more, dig a little deeper into that, why not just throwing, money at paid dollars on Google, but really investing the time and money into SEO and organic rankings. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. So it's often very easy for people to invest in paid because they literally say, I have a budget. I'm looking to target these people, and they can literally see this much money equates to this many clicks, and eventually down the road, this many move-ins. This is how much it's going to cost. On the organic side, there isn't a smooth formula like that. We're not paying to show up. We're creating quality content that Google is ranking against other people to say, hey, I think this is something useful for somebody. However, I like to remind people when you go, especially to Google, in your search engine, only 1/3 of that page is paid. Right now, you're going to see them all as sponsored up at the top for links. But you have your Google business profile. That's going to be a key part over here, or in a series of listings if people are looking in a specific physical location, which people are when they're looking for senior living, and also all of your links. So please don't ignore 2/3 of a search results page, right? Invest in your organic search as well.
Yeah, it's really important. I think we think today, if I just spend money on paid, how many leads am I going to get? And that's all the leads you're going to get. And like you're saying, you're missing out on like 2/3 of the lead potential by not investing in that SEO. So can you talk a little more about for an owner, a community, an agency doesn't have enough money to do everything? What is the most important thing right now that they should be doing, that they should be investing their time and money in?
For the smallest dollar amount that you could do, honestly, invest in your Google business profile. In the senior living industry, 94% of the traffic, organic traffic coming to your site is coming from Google. 30 to 50% of that, depending on how well you've optimized your listing, is coming from your listing. It does not take too much time and effort to make sure you have gorgeous photos, that you have floor plans, that you have high reviews, that you have posts up linking to blog posts you just put up or events that you're doing. There's actually lots of traffic that will come from your Google business profile. And I've even seen for communities, people get event registrations from someone clicking on something from their Google business profile. So please don't ignore it. That is the simplest thing. That is the simplest 1/3 of your search results page that you could be investing in right now before you tackle the whole website, right, for organic search.
Right. And can you explain a little more? So I know I asked you this a couple of weeks ago, a little more to explain about SGE and what that means and why your ratings on your profile is so important today.
Yeah. So last spring, Google announced the search generative experience. Now, most people remember November of 2022, ChatGPT, everything ChatGPT. Well, Google and everybody else, like Bing has one too, Google has a chat experience called Search Generative Experience. Right now, it's in beta and it's being tested in a few places live. Eventually, it'll roll out everywhere. Now, what's interesting is when people do qualitative searches, right? Like best retirement community in, and then a city name, it is not looking at how your website is ranking. It is looking at how your listing ranks. Some of you might be surprised, but it actually makes a lot of sense. Google is using its own product to decide how to rank something. So after a lot of testing, I found out communities that ranked number one in the links for best retirement community or best senior living in this place, not necessarily showed up in that AI chat response list, right? Because it was going off of their Google business profile, which maybe didn't have frequent reviews or it didn't pass the threshold of about 4.1 star rating, which is what we did a lot of searching across over 100 communities. And we saw that that was about the cutoff. As long as you had a 4.1 or greater, you're going to show up in their list of about 5 communities in the area, in that city someone's searching for. And if you're below that, no matter how many local awards you've won, no matter your CMS rating at your life plan community, or how well your website ranks in the links area of SEO, it will not suggest you as a great place for someone to choose for retirement living. So you have to make sure that everything is in order with your listing, especially as that will be rolling out later in 2024. And like I said, 94% of all senior living traffic, that's organic search, comes from Google. So really consider about where you're investing.
And I think, we know that everyone always looked at stars. Of course, we do it for everything we search, right? We look at those stars.
Right.
But now, even more important than ever, is it's actually going to adjust your ranking, and it's actually going to be what decides whether you rank higher or not. So rather than just, the low stars isn't looking very good, no, it's actually going to affect your organic ranking as well. So thanks for bringing that up. That's really important for people to focus on. Another thing I want to ask is in terms of ranking specifically, so outside of specifically the local listings, what's most important for listeners to do to help improve their rankings today?
Outside of your local listings, it all is on your content. If you yourself can write a blog post or you have somebody else who's writing it, like an agency, writing answers to people's questions is the biggest thing that we need to do for SEO. So the old school way when people were searching were keywords, right? Keywords. We would say this, this, and this. And we might even put a minus saying, and don't show anything related to this, because that's how we used to talk to search engines. But even over a decade ago, as soon as we moved to voice search and natural processing language, the whole point of search engines is to understand how human beings ask questions and learn how to give responses that sound like something a human being would say. So gone are the days really of keywords. And in is the way of knowing what questions people are asking and directly answering them in your content. So definitely make sure that whatever questions people have, whether it's about cost, how do I know, like, if I can downsize into a 1-bedroom or not? What should I do when I move? How do I get my pets ready? A lot of those things you can also find out if you talk to people who are directly talking to prospective residents, whether it's the people at events or people picking up the phone. The questions you ask there, people are going to be asking related questions in search engines. And if you're answering them, you're a step ahead of everyone else who's still trying to put 4 or 5 keywords into a blog post and hoping that someone magically is still using search engines like we did 10, 15 years ago.
Right. Can you talk a little bit too? I know we talked briefly about AI, and I know a lot of people are using that specifically for building content, and that is a good or bad idea. What your thoughts are on that?
I think it is okay to use as part of efficiency, but it should never be a total product. So something I always tell people is AI for inspiration, not for product. So one of the ways I would say that is, let's say you want to have a blog post. What AI can create is what everyone else has created. So a common blog post in the senior living industry is, how do I talk to my parents about assisted living? And let me tell you, actually, the number one search question is, how do I convince my parents to talk about assisted living? But we would never quite put it in those terms.
Right.
That's everywhere. And actually, ChatGPT, Jasper, Gemini, which used to be Google's Bard, all of those things can actually put out a satisfactory 600, 700 word blog post about that. Why is that? Because there's literally hundreds of thousands of other people have written about it. Now, when you come to AI can never tie in a call to action to your community. AI will never double check if there's a misconception. One of the problems with AI is if people at large believe something about senior living, even though it's incorrect, it will write about that myth or misconception, right? What you're basically doing is, imagine there's 100 people in a room with you, and you ask 100 people to come together and write a blog post about a very specific topic. You're not necessarily going to get all the experts. No one's going to be proofreading it. That's basically what you get from AI. You're getting what everyone else on the internet has written about and whatever misconceptions might be out there. So you have to be very careful, especially if you are not just rental and independent living or residences, especially when it comes into healthcare topics. You have to be very careful about what you allow AI to do for you. A way AI can do inspiration, which I would give B+, A- on, is helping you think of a wittier title, helping you think outside of the box. It can't be too much outside the box because remember, it can only think of something that somebody else has already thought of. But if you're trying to finagle, let's say, some cute dog puns of like why your pet would like living at a community, it might help you create a cute tail wagging title for your blog post. That's great. Let's do that. But it's not going to help you create unique content. For example, like if you have a community in a city, let's say Houston, the local museums have special times and exhibits for people who have dementia. And there's also special quiet hours and low visit hours for a bunch of other places around Houston. You could write a whole blog post about all the great dementia-friendly things you can do in the city, but no one else has written that yet. AI wouldn't be able to provide that for you. In fact, it would actually refer you to a bunch of memory care communities as activities, what we're looking for, but no one's written that yet. So whenever you want something unique, that's where you have a human being, right? Whenever you want something that's standard information, AI is going to be really great at giving you the core of it.
Right. And, I think also I mentioned one of my last podcasts was your strengths and differentiators, like you're saying. It's not going to be custom to you specifically, so it's not going to pull those things out either that a person can do for you. Can you talk for a second a little bit about, this is sort of a hot topic and whether you do this or not, but listing your pricing on your website and in terms of content and what people are searching for and whether that's a good idea also?
Absolutely. So I have always been a huge proponent of at least having starting at pricing on your website. There's been pushback by some people saying, if I have someone see the price first, then I scare away potential leads. A lot of other people would say, if you can't opt out, if you know that's not in your price range, you're going to keep getting a bunch of financially unqualified leads, right? So there's that issue of save your salespeople time by at least putting starting at. That might be your studio apartment, but that's okay. Because if someone's visiting your website and they can't afford the buy-in and or monthly fees for a studio apartment, they're not the lead that you're looking for, right? So let's do starting at price. The second thing, I have seen this across many communities. I can go as an SEO person. I can go into Google Search Console and I can see the type of searches that lead to people clicking on a link to come to the website. And with that, I can see how many people clicked on it and then how many times it showed up in searches. And I have seen people put a community name plus the word cost or price with it. And in one case, I saw one community, less than 10% of those searches wound up on their website. I put that search in because I wanted to know where those people were going. And sure enough, right after their community, which did not list pricing on their website, were tons of directories that listed prices. And some of them were even right there in the link. saying what the price is. And I can also check through tools to see how people rank for things. So I could see that directories were ranking very well for that community plus cost. And that means somebody already has a relationship with you. They don't search your name, right? Unless they already are interested in moving into your community. They can't find the price. So they go back to a search engine, put cost or price with your community name. And guess what? A directory has it. And guess what? They can get more information from that referral site. And so now you already created a great relationship with somebody, but at the last minute, right, when they would convert and become a potential lead for you, they went to a referral directory and now you're paying a huge fee for them to say yes. That is a very large waste of time and your money by doing that.
Yeah. And I also agree. I know it's difficult with certain rentals and certain life plan communities. You want to explain the price and explain why there's a large upfront fee. But to Sarah's point, if you're not at least starting somewhere, you're either going to be getting unqualified leads, like you said, or you're going to be getting the wrong people coming to your site that aren't ever going to convert because they don't know, right? Or they're going to go to other directory listings. So that is really important to make sure you have your pricing. And if you are concerned about that, outside of giving more detail there, have some kind of pricing comparative guide or something that explains the pricing that they can download. That's going to help them as well. So thank you for that tip. And I'm going to end today with, is there anything you want to let our listeners know, top tips or key takeaways to remember from this episode?
Yeah, I would like you to remember, please focus on your local listings in 2024. And if you don't know what that is, or you don't have an agency that's providing that right now, ask for it. It's going to be very important. It already is important, right? It could be half of your Google traffic, and it's going to become more once the search generative experience rolls out to everybody. Please put pricing on your site. If you're scared about that, I promise you it's going to be okay. Communities I've been able to convince to put pricing up actually saw an increase in leads on their website, and they had beautiful pricing pages that explained all the finances. And these were very hefty entrance fee life plan communities that you would think, oh, I put this all up, I scared people away, but they actually increased their website leads because of it. So please don't be scared to put starting at pricing, and also explain why, especially if you're a type A, why an entrance fee is the best investment. Explain that story. If you don't have a large fee, but maybe you're a type C and it's still expensive, it's hard for people to realize it's not just a home. It's their gym membership. It's going out to dinner with friends. It's activities. Help lay that out so they can really realize it's actually a great deal to move into a retirement community. Lastly, I have 2 phrases that I always want people to keep in mind with AI. One of them I said earlier, AI is for inspiration, not for a total product. And secondly, AI is for process efficiency, not for people replacement. So those are the things I'd love for you guys to remember. Put up your pricing, invest in your listings, and use AI wisely. It is not a total product. It is inspiration or process efficiency.
Great. Thank you so much, Sarah. This was really helpful. Like I mentioned earlier, we really need to be showing and showcasing our organic content. We really need to be ranking higher and focus on those ratings, please, so we make sure we're not just spending paid dollars, but that we are spending time and money on our SEO and our organic rankings. Thank you again, Sarah Eggers, for joining us. If anyone wants to reach out to her for more specific tips, please do so. Thank you for joining the Drake Insights podcast, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye. If you enjoyed watching the podcast today, please follow me and subscribe so you're notified for the next podcast. And if you have any questions or want to talk after about anything that Drake Strategic can provide for you, please reach out to me, call me, email me, or visit our website at drakestrategic.com.